Hello folks, and welcome to GED Microlearning. This is a YouTube channel specialized in the GED math test. So I got a request from @Athena Johnson last week or a few weeks ago about angles. So we're going to do a few angle questions to get started. So this will be a good review from previous week. So it's asking us if angle B is 30 degrees more than 2 times the measure of angle C. What is the measure of angle B? And it gives you this four-sided figure. So one thing that we have to always remember is that whenever you're giving a four-sided plane figure, whether that's a square, a rectangle, parallelogram, etc., all the angles within that four-sided plane figure have to add up to 360 degrees. So that's one thing you have to know. The next thing you have to know is about right angles. So whenever you see these little squares inside an image, what that's telling you is that that angle is a right angle, meaning that it has a value of 90 degrees. Okay, so with that information, let's go back to our question. So we said that this is a four-sided plane figure, so angle A plus B plus C plus D is going to equal 360. And if we look at the image, we have one right angle there and another one there. So if we kind of do a little tally there of our angles, all we have to do is find out angle B and C. So in the question, they don't tell us much about C, so we're going to say that the value for angle C is just C. And then for angle B, it tells us that it's twice as much as angle C plus 30 degrees. Okay, it says it in a kind of roundabout way, but basically that's what it says. Now, all you have to do is take these variables that you just found and plug them into this equation as such. When you simplify, clean it up a little bit, you end up with this. You would subtract 210 from both sides. Okay, that gives you 3c is equal to 150 divided by 3 is equal to 50. All right, however, if you look at the question, you're not done yet. It's not asking you for the value of C. It's asking you for the value of angle B. Okay, so angle B, remember, was 2C plus 30. So you would take that value for C that you found before, just plug it into your equation like that, and you end up with 130, which is answer D. And it's always good to check your work, especially if you have time. So if you add all of those angles, you should end up with 360. Okay, this next question has to do with percent change, okay? So it says the price of a pack of paper decreased from $40 to $35. What is the percent decrease in the price? So the first thing that you're going to do is subtract the new price from the original price. Okay, so that would give you 5. And then you're going to divide that 5 by the original price, which was 40. And then finally, to find the percentage, you just multiply by 100, and that gives you 12.5%. So question 3 is asking you to extract information from a bar graph and answer a question associated to ratios. It says, in November, what was the ratio of the number of sunny days to rain-snow days? All right, so let's recap how to read one of these graphs. So as always, start at the top with the title. You don't have a title here, but you have a legend. Okay, so this legend is telling you what is shown in the graph. In this case, the blue bars are telling you that that's the number of sunny days. The green bars tell you rain and snow days, and the yellow bars tell you the number of windy days. The x-axis, that should be number of days, we're going to assume. And then x-axis tells you the different months. Okay, so you can see, for example, in August, there was sun and rain/snow. Whereas in September, there was sun, rain, snow, and wind. Okay? And the question, specifically, they're asking for November. So if we look at the number of sunny days, follow that blue bar to the top, okay? And then to the left, to the y-axis, you can see there's 15 days of sun, 5 days of rain, snow, and 10 days of wind. And the question specifically asks us for the ratio of sunny days to snow days. So it would be 15 to 5, And if you simplify it, that would be 3 to 1. So your answer is C. The next question looks at your ability to evaluate numbers that are in a decimal format. Okay, so it says which of these lists shows the weights in order from largest to smallest. All right, so how do you know which one is bigger? So a good trick, if you have a situation like this where you have a decimal, numbers, you have a 0 point something, is that you look at the number immediately to the right of the decimal point. Okay, so in this case, the number to the right is a 0. In this case, it's 6. In this case, it's 4. So now it's very easy to know which one's the largest, right? So that one's the largest, and that one's the smallest. So the correct answer here would be answer C. All right, so the next question looks at average speed. So it says a truck driver traveled 360 miles in 6 hours. What was their average speed in miles per hour? So we know that he's driving 360 miles in 6 hours. So if we divide, make this division, that will tell us how much he drives per hour, which is 60. All right, so the next question is one of these questions that you have to interact with the number line. So it's asking you in the number line below, what is the value of A minus B? So you would look at A and B, okay, and basically set up your equation like that. So 3.5 minus 1, that gives you 2.5. And then you would click your response on the number line below. All right, so I'm just going to do a little plug for the channel. If you're finding it helpful, and if you don't mind sharing on your social media, I really appreciate that. Okay, so question 7 is one of these fill-in-the-blank questions that looks at statistics. Okay, so it asks, what is the mode of the following points scored, and then type your answer below. And it's asking you for mode. So when you look at statistics, 4 really common things that come up a lot are mode, mean, median, and range. Okay, so you have to know those 4. So mode is pretty easy. It basically means the number that appears more frequently. Okay, so you don't actually have to do any calculations. So when you look at that list again, you can see that the number 3 is the one that pops up more frequently. So that's the mode. And that's all there is to this question. All right, so here it asks you to find the value of the following expression. And here's where we do our PEMDAS, or order of operations. Okay, so remember, in math, we have to do things in a specific order, okay? This is called the order of operations. So we always solve from left to right, and we follow this acronym called PEMDAS, which stands for the order of operations you're going to do. All right, so first you're going to do whatever is in the parentheses, followed by any exponents, multiplication, division, add, and subtract. And you can multiply or divide in that order, or you can divide or multiply. Same thing with adding and subtracting, so they're interchangeable. All right, so if we go back to our problem and we use PEMDAS, we're going to start with whatever's in the parentheses, right? Excuse me. So let's do those operations first, and we end up with that. And now we go ahead and we're going to do division, right, within that bracket. So we end up with 8 inside the bracket, and now we can do the stuff outside of the brackets. So we would end up with 25 plus 24, which gives you 49. Answer C. All right, so question 9 asks you to look at the simplified form of this expression. And here all you have to remember is that whenever you have expressions like this is like adding apples and, bananas together. You can't add them together. You can only add like terms. Okay, so you can only do these 2 terms and the other 2 terms together. So if you do that, you end up with 11a squared b plus 6ab, which is answer A. All right, so question 10 is an inequality. So it says, what is the answer to the following inequality? Really quickly, that symbol there that you see between the 7 and the 5, this is one of the symbols that you can see in inequality questions. So greater than, the kind of arrowy part is pointing to the right. If you have a line under that symbol, it means greater than or equal to. And if it's pointing in the other direction, it means less than or equal to. Okay? And for the most part, you don't have to do anything in this question in particular. Sometimes you have to flip the symbol, but not here. Okay, so what you would do here is just solve this inequality the same way that you would solve a problem if you had an equal sign. Okay, so you add 7 on both sides. That gives you that. Then divide by 6. So x is greater than 2. Answer B. All right, so question 11 requires you to be able to look at a table and interpret information. So it's giving you a temperature in Fahrenheit, and it's asking you to convert that temperature to Celsius. Okay, so this is the formula that we want. Okay, convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. So there you have the formula on the right side of the table, and what you would do is just plug in your value for the Fahrenheit temperature, which they're giving you in the question. When you do that, that's what your equation looks like. Multiply that out. That gives you 25 degrees Celsius, which is answer C. Question 12, it asks you which of the following is equal to this equation. So all you have to do here is basically divide by 7, and that would give you 3a plus 7b, okay, which is option A. Okay, so question 13 is one of these drop-down menu questions where you have these drop-down menus, you click on them, and they give you the possible answers. And it's asking you here, the lowest incidence of flu cases was between this year and this year. Okay, so recap again for reading graphs. First thing, look at the title. So it's giving us the flu cases in 5 U.S. states from 2015 to 2021. The Y is telling you the number of cases per 1,000, and the X-axis is telling you in the number of years. And specifically, it's asking us in the question, when was the lowest incidence of flu cases? Okay, so you would select those lowest years, which are 2018 and 2019, as you can see there, and then just click the correct answer. Okay, so question 14 asks, where does the line with the equation x plus 3y is equal to 6 intersect with the line with the equation 5y plus 2x is equal to 10? All right, so this problem has several steps. The first step is that you have to take that first equation, that they give you, and make x be expressed in terms of y. Okay, so you would take that equation, subtract 3y from both sides, and you end up with that. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, you're going to take the second equation, okay, which is that one that's appearing in bold, and you're going to plug in your x value that you got before, which is there in blue. Okay, so plug that in to your equation like that. Multiply it out, and then clean everything up. You end up with minus y is equal to minus 2, or y is equal to 2. Okay, so now you have your value for y, and you have to go to the first equation and plug that y value in there. Okay, like that. You end up with x is equal to 0. So now we can go back to our problem. And if you look at the options, it tells you a series of coordinates, x and y coordinates. So x we know is 0, y we know is 2. Okay, so your correct answer is B. Question 15. This is a question that involves the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so it says if Rick places a 30-foot, 5-foot ladder against a building, 21 feet from the base of the wall, how far up the wall will the ladder reach to the nearest tenth of a foot? Okay, so we have this building, and we're placing that ladder there, which is 35 feet. It's going to be 21 feet from the base of the wall, and they're asking us how tall is this wall. So here what they want you to remember is the Pythagorean theorem, okay, which is this rule that when you have a right angle triangle, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. All right, so if we go back to our problem, we have these values and we just have to find a. So we would plug our values into the equation like that, multiply the exponents, that gives us this and that. And now what we have to do, we have that a squared that we have to get rid of. All right, so the way that we do that is by taking the square root of both sides. And that gives us a is 28. Option C. Okay, question 16 says, Clark is paid under option B if H represents the number of hours worked and S represents the total sales. Which of the following expressions could be used to find his weekly pay? Okay, so first of all, let's look at the part of the table that we need, which is only that bottom line. And we know that for weekly pay, we have hourly wage multiplied by the hours worked, plus whatever commission he gets on sales, the percentage that he gets multiplied by the sales that he makes, right? So they tell us in the question that he gets paid $6.50 per hour. So we would multiply that by H, which is the number of hours worked, plus the percent commission that he gets, which is 3.5 or 0.035 in decimal form, multiplied by whatever sales that he makes. So your correct answer would be B. Question 17 is a probability question. So it says, a game player rolls a die, numbered 1 to 6, and spins the spinner. What is the probability of rolling a 3 and spinning an odd number? Okay? So let's do this in several steps. Okay, so the first thing is we have to find out the probability of rolling a 3. So we have to use this equation that we've gone over a few times. So favorable outcomes divided by possible outcomes. So in a die, it has 6 sides, right? So the possible outcomes are 6. And the probability of rolling a 3 is 1. Okay, you can only roll a 3 like once. Okay, so that's the first one. Then we want to find out the probability of spinning an odd number. So again, we use that formula. You can see that there's 8 possible outcomes in the spinner, and there's 4 odd numbers. So that would be 4/8 or 1/2. And then finally, it's asking you in the question, what is the probability of rolling a 3 and spinning an odd number? So here, what you have to do is you have to multiply both probabilities. Okay, it's not one or the other, it's both. So that would give you 1/12, which is answer B. All right, so question 18 is a question that looks at exponents, and it's telling you which of the following has the least value. Okay, so here you're going to have to do a little bit of legwork, okay? And before we start, just a quick reminder, if you look at the exponents, they're negative, okay? So reminder, when you have an exponent with a negative number, you have to rewrite it like this, okay? Like a division, like you're dividing, okay? So if you had 5 raised to the -2, it's a negative number, so we would rewrite it like that, and then you do it as you usually do your exponents. Okay, so let's look at first option A, which says 15 raised to the 0. So that is equal to 1. And the reason for that is that there's just a rule in math that says that whenever you have a number raised to the 0 power, it's equal to 1. Okay, if we do B, we would go ahead and rewrite that expression like this, which is that. And that gives us 1/32 or 0.031 in decimals. Option C is 2, so we don't have to do anything there. And option D, again, we would rewrite that as 1/3 raised to the 3rd power, like that. That equals 1/27, or in decimal format, 0.037. All right, so let's rewrite all of these out like this. And which one is the smallest one? Well, it is B. Okay? Okay, so question 19 is a statistics question, which asks, what is the mean income listed in the chart, rounded to the nearest dollar? So again, as I said previously, for statistics, you have to focus on mean, mode, median, and range. Okay, so those 4 questions come up a lot. And mean essentially means the arithmetic mean, okay, the average. So you would take the total and you would divide it by the number of items. So in this case, we have the total would be the cost for all of the houses divided by the number of houses, which is 5. And that gives you that amount, which rounds up to $52,617. All right, so this next question is another drop-down menu question. Those are the possible answers. We're going to look at the title, which is telling us about sales. We're going to look at the legend there on the right. The y-axis is telling you the number of sales, and the x-axis is telling you the month, okay? So we're looking specifically at store 2 in the question, which is the green line, and it's asking us in when stores 2 increased its sales. And if you look at the graph, that would be in June. Question 21 is a fill-in-the-blank question. At a bakery, a package of frosted donuts cost $5 and a packet of chocolate donuts $6. If Joe buys 2 packages of frosted donuts and 3 packages of chocolate donuts for work, how much did the donuts cost before taxes? Okay, so this should be fairly straightforward because you probably do this when you go to the supermarket to get food or anything. So remember that cost is the number of units multiplied by the price. So you would do this for your frosted donuts, right? $10 in total. And for the chocolate donuts, it would be the price multiplied by 3 packages. Okay, so 18. So that gives you a total of 28. Question 22. A city is considering increases taxes on sugary drinks to buy a soccer stadium. If 500 people were surveyed, how many are undecided? Okay, so here what you can use is this rule, which is the percentage rule, right? Which says that the base total multiplied by the rate is equal to the part. Okay, so in the question, they're asking us for the undecided people, which is 1/4. That's the rate. Okay, we can change that to a percentage. So 1/4 is 25%, or in decimal point, 0.25. And the total number of people surveyed was 500. So you would just multiply 500 times 0.25. That gives you 125. Okay, that's the number of people that were undecided. Mike is at an amusement park with his son. They want to go on the bumper cars, eat cotton candy, go to the haunted house, ride the roller coaster, and the Ferris wheel. How many sequences of these events are there? Okay, so there's a total of 5 events. Okay, so the way that I think of it is like this. There's a total of 5 events, right? So after they go to, let's say that they start with the bumper cars, now they have 4 events that they can do, right? So you would multiply that by 4. So after they go, let's say they've gone to the bumper cars and they've eaten cotton candy, now they have 3 events left, right? So you multiply by 3. So now they've gone to the bumper cars, they've eaten cotton candy, they've gone to the haunted house. Now they have 2 events left. So you multiply by 2. And then finally they have 1 event left. Okay, so if you multiply all these numbers, it gives you the sequence or the number of events that there are. So it's 120, which is answer D. Question 24 is another statistics question. So it tells you a set of friends have a different amount of dollars in their wallets: 23, 17, 100, 50, and 10. Find the range. Okay, so just as a recap, range is the difference between the largest number and the smallest number. So all you have to do here to find the range is to find the largest number, which was 100. subtract 10 from it, and that gives you the range, which is 90. Answer C. Okay, so question 25 is one of these drag and drop questions. So you'll notice that they'll give you a question, and then at the bottom there's various boxes with a possible solution. I'll show you in a second how you put your answer in. But it's asking you, Matt is making a protein shake. The instructions say to add 3 cups of water to every 2 scoops of powder. If Matt makes a big batch of shake using 15 cups of water, set up the proportion below to find out how many scoops he needs to add. Okay, so basically you're going to drag and drop one of those, 3 of those boxes in the bottom to your proportion. Okay, so the way that it looks like is that you just would click on whatever you want, drop it into the appropriate box. Usually it turns blue so that you know that it's activated. If you make a mistake, you can just move things about kind of back and forth. So, you don't have to worry about that if you get it wrong. Okay, so let's go back to the problem. So it's telling us to set up a proportion. So let's set up our proportion first. So we said that we're going to add 3 cups of water for every 2 scoops of protein powder or whatever. And it's telling us in the question that he's actually adding 15 cups of water. So how many scoops does he need? So basically this is the question that you're asking, okay? This is the proportion that you would set up to find X. So now all you have to do is go back to your question, drag those appropriate responses into your box, and you are done. Okay, folks, that is it for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Please consider subscribing if you found value or sharing with friends. As always, thank you so much for your time and have a terrific rest of your day.